Hello, and welcome back to the Talk Nats podcast. My name is Kevin Nibley, and we are sponsored by Old DC Apparel. Head on over to shopolddc.com. Some of the coolest, most original DC fan shirts and hats you'll find. Also running a charity promotion for the 2026 Washington Post Layoff Fund. 100% of all of our charity shirts will go to that fund for the laid off Post employees. You can subscribe to our show. The video version is on YouTube at Talk Nats Podcast. That's also our handle on X. And the audio version is available on pretty much any podcast platform. Just search Talk Nats Podcast. So today we are continuing our conversation with the great Chuck Todd, former moderator of Meet the Press and NBC News chief political correspondent. We did talk to Chuck before a couple of minor moves. This was recorded before Miles Michaelis came over and some of the bullpen moves we just made. Thankfully those moves weren't big enough that I feel like, for us to go re-record anything. But if we don't acknowledge those moves in the body of the show, that's why. Last week we kind of got into his thoughts on the media landscape here in town and his journey from being a Dodgers fan to a Nats fan. And we're going to pick right back up with Chuck Todd talking about how he feels about the Dodgers in their current form.
I have to say, I am comfortably not missing ever being a Dodger fan. And in fact, I can't stand, they're the evil empire.
They are.
I grew up, there was a pride when you were a Dodger fan. The pride was, oh, no. We didn't trade for our stars.
Yeah,
we developed them. And that was a point of pride, right? The Dodger farm system, 4 straight rookies of the year. I think it was like 91, 92, 93, 94, something like that, right?
Even in the 2000s, they had Kershaw, Corey Seager, Bellinger, but then, something switched in the last handful of years where now they're, getting everyone else.
They're owned by private equity. That's what switched. It's unbelievable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look, I call, as Tony Kornheiser likes to say, the Dodgers were the team of my youth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I view it. I remember meeting Fernando Valenzuela the first year, getting him to autograph his rookie card. I still had sort of the worn out thing there. So, and I collect Sandy Koufax, and Jackie. So, and mostly actually more Sandy and Campanella because it's cheaper than collecting, Jackie.
Sure.
Not to say that Sandy's cheap. But Roy Campanella is the most affordable of the guys I collect from the old days. That's for sure.
Definitely. So as a Nats fan, obviously the Nats and the Dodgers are kind of on two polar opposite ends of the baseball economic spectrum. What do you think about the Nats' new direction, essentially trying to be like the Tampa Bay Rays of the NL East, under Taboni and Blake Butera? How do you feel about what they're trying to do? And do you think the learners and ownership, as a Nats fan, would you like more investment from them? What's your take on the state of the franchise at the moment?
I am pretty cynical about it. I think the Nats are stuck. I think the learners want to sell. I think they know they can't get who in their right mind would buy a team before knowing what the new labor agreement's going to be and the new collective bargaining agreement, what the rules are, let alone what the TV situation is. So unfortunately, I feel like we've got an ownership group that's in purgatory. Yeah. And so for now, they want to run the operation like Tampa Bay. Well, why did Tampa Bay run their operation like that? Because they'd had an owner that couldn't afford to own the team, right? When you can't afford to compete that way, then, if you moneyball your way, you can at least maybe be a bit more competitive so it's fine. But I've equated it like sometimes you'll see somebody remodel a house, they run out of money. It sits there for 3 years and then they come back, they knock down what they did and then they start over. That's how I feel like we just did. Like, I take the Mackenzie Gore trade. On one hand, you're like, all right, the return's pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and think crap on the return.
Sure.
But, the single greatest, the lottery ticket of baseball is a left-handed starting pitcher who can be an ace.
Yeah.
And they're so hard to find. They're so rare. Okay. And in fact, they come along so little that when you get a guy like Clayton Kershaw, you figure out ways to extend his career because they're so hard to find. And
Yeah.
to give up on it so quickly, that's what I'm angry about as a fan. You're already conceding the next 5 years because you've given up on what could be, right?
Yeah.
He very well might be, right? And here's the other thing: if you weren't going to trade him at the trade deadline last time, then why would you trade him in the offseason after he had a less than stellar second half? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you
Yeah.
realize that we all know why he had a less than stellar second half? He's a young pitcher, and it was the most innings he'd ever pitched. So, like, this happens that first year. He's still developing that strength. He is going to probably have a great first 2 or 3 months. He will probably be fantastic down in Texas, where also, by the way, it's a tough place to hit a home run. So ERA is going to be low as it is. And I think he would have been just had he had the same strong start this year that he had with us last year, we'd have gotten more at the trade deadline, not less, because you get more clubs that are desperate. So I thought it was a minor strategic mistake, and I say minor. It's not. I still think we undersold Gore a little bit, and I hate that we gave up on him for all the reasons I said. But I understand if you're a owner trying to sell the team and you're in this purgatory, and you have to wait to find out what the hell the rules of owning a baseball team are going to look like in 2 years. I think if I were managing the businesses of the learners, I might have done the same thing.
Yeah, it's tough because there could be a labor stoppage. There could be the salary cap, all sorts of things.
No, it's one of those where, as a fan, I hate it.
Yeah,
and I think and the lack of investment tells me but as a pure business decision, it is the right business decision. But I've also believed sports ownership is a community trust.
Yeah.
And so it's not I'm going to say, this was a little bit before your time, but in 2012, there was this big argument between these were the quaint political arguments of 2012 and the pre-Trump era. But there was a fight between Obama and Romney over whether entrepreneurs did it on their own or, you didn't build that on your own. That's always the case with sports. Okay. The value of the franchise is not due to great decision making by the owner. The value of the franchise is based on your relationship with your community and whether the community has bought into the success of your franchise. That's what gives your franchise value, right? The Caps are worth more today because that fan base is fantastic and is unbelievably devoted. And they have a higher value because of that. The Wizards' value is lower because they do not have that same connectivity with their community.
No, definitely. So we're getting close out of time, but just as a baseball fan, what are you looking forward to this season? What intrigues you about the upcoming season? And what are you looking for? I mean, aside from the Nats, obviously, it's probably not going to be a great year for the Nats.
Here's what I don't want. On the Nats, I don't want any more of these Dom Smiths and just enough of that. I want all the young guys. Let me see them come up and let's I don't think this is the time for veteran mentorship in the clubhouse. So I do want to see, if you're going to go full Tampa, then go full Tampa, where you see these young guys, and go full Marlins, where you're like, there's some guys that don't belong, and some guys you're like, holy cow, where did that guy come from? He's amazing. I want to see a lot of that. I'm really nervously excited about Dylan Cruz in that if he's going to be what we all want him to be, then this is the year we should start to see it. So I'm going to be looking for that on our side of things as far as the Nats are concerned. With it's everything else is just sort of the Ohtani show, right? Like it's kind of, and I'll admit getting caught up in it, and I'm going to confess something here that will confirm my baseball dorkiness. I may or may not have a baseball card side hustle, and it's remarkable to me. I mean, if you can slap a PSA 10 on anything Ohtani, like you get value. Yeah. And I mean, I've just, my side hustle of just finding Ohtani cards that are in good shape and getting them graded has been a pretty good lucrative little fun little side hustle. So I enjoy And I have to say, I enjoy the whole Otani show, and I'm really looking forward to the World Baseball Classic this year. I am
Yeah.
right. Like, and
That'll be fun. Yep.
I'm an Olympics junkie too. So we go from Olympics right to WBC, right to March Madness. I mean, I think we've got a great sports calendar. And then right after all that's done, we get actual baseball. Like it's the next, usually February is a crappy sports calendar, but man, we got a lot of things going for us. But as for the other, I mean, are the Dodgers going to get Tariq Skubal? Really?
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah.
And if that happens, I mean, do we just what? I'm torn on all this. Like, look, sports need a super team. I think super teams drive more interest than we all want to admit, right? Full on parity sucks for fan bases, right? Like when we had, I always thought the early 20 teens. That was baseball parody, right? When we got the Royals and the Giants, the Royals and the Mets, right? God bless it. I love that the Royals got to the World Series playing the type of baseball that they played, but it wasn't the fans weren't that interested in it, right? There's something about the quote unquote evil empire, right?
Yeah.
So Dodgers versus the world is, will be compelling. But honestly, I'm very focused on the off-season stuff. I got my start. I helped start the Sports Business Journal, which used to be called Sports Business Daily. So in '94, which was the year of the infamous canceled World Series, and I thought I am, if the Dodgers get Skubal, the rest of the owners are going to revolt, and I do think I understand the case for the salary cap. And if I were the players, I would basically say, we will accept a salary cap if and only if the Dodgers and the Yankees share all their revenue like the NFL. Because if the only way for baseball to truly be competitive for all the teams that are in it, and they want to expand, and if they want expansion, you've got to have a system where everybody has a chance at Tariq Skubal. And everybody has a chance at Shohei Ohtani. And everybody has a chance. And the Dodgers can't get them all because there's a limit on how many you can get.
Yeah.
And, it is the reason why baseball is different is the owners. There's a history of the owners always having to eat what they killed on their own. And the league was always weak. The commissioners were always weirdly weak. They couldn't get a salary cap and they canceled a World Series. So I don't know how they're going to get it, but the Dodgers' behavior is creating the best the conditions to create the best. And it's basically if you drive a wedge between the owners. And if I were the players, I wouldn't be saying full on no to salary cap, but I would make the offer. We'll accept it if and only if the Dodgers and the Yankees share all their revenue, so that the Twins and the Brewers, the Dodgers make more on their Japanese marketing than the Twins make on everything.
Yeah, no, it's almost become like European soccer in a sense where if there's like a good player, they're going to play for Madrid or Barcelona or one of the London teams. It's just like, oh, if a player's good, he's going to end up on the Dodgers, or maybe the Mets will come in with some crazy offer. But yeah, the economics of baseball are crazy. We are almost out of time, but please let our listeners know where they can catch your podcast, social, and anything you'd like to promote.
Look, the Chuck Todd cast is where I'm mostly at. I also do a independent news app called Noosphere, NOO Sphere. That I do a Sunday evening show there. Just had Kara Swisher where we talked about all things Washington Post. By the way, so some of your listeners might be intrigued by that, as both Kara and I fashion ourselves as people that would like to help contribute to rescuing local news in the DC area. So that's, and I show up on all these socials, good, bad, or otherwise. Sometimes I love doing them, and sometimes I hate the social scene. But it is what it is. Let me flip it. One question to you.
Yeah, sure.
Besides James Wood and Dylan Cruz, what first or second year player are you most excited about watching on the Nats?
I think Dalen Lyle would be the guy, in the sense that, the second half he had, and specifically, I think it was more like just August and September. His OPS was like over 900. He just had this crazy last 60 games or so. So if somehow he's able to keep that up, if you had an outfield of Wood, Lyle, and then maybe if this is a breakout year for Cruz, that could be one of the best young outfields in baseball. So I think the Nats are interesting with their young hitters in the lineup, like Harry Ford, who they just got from Seattle. Could be
I'm really excited about Harry Ford.
Yeah. On the pitching side, I'm a little like, I think unless hopefully they add there are still some free agents out there. Maybe they add one or two guys late to help stabilize that. Right now is constituted the staff looks a little rough, but we do have some young hitters that could be interesting. And I think that's, as a Nats fan, what I'm looking forward to the most, for sure.
I will just and look, you've done some work down in the Arizona Fall. Why don't they hand James Wood a first baseman's mitt?
That's a great question. Yeah, no, he's not the strongest outfielder. Obviously he's a very strong hitter. And I think if Wood puts it together, he could be like the next Aaron Judge. I mean, when he's hot, his power's like that good, right? I would think about that. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Nats roster, we don't really have a first baseman at the moment. I mean, we have your guy from, I think he went to Miami, Yohandy Morales.
Yo-yo.
He's a yo-yo.
He's got the best nickname going. I thought he was a third baseman at Miami, but if I'm not mistaken.
I think in the majors, they may try him at first. I mean, he's a guy, I think they're going to try a rotation of younger guys with Morales, maybe Matt Mervis, who they got from the Marlins, and Ortiz was a guy that came back in the Gore trade that might be in the mix. But I think it's going to kind of be a first base by committee of younger prospects. But obviously, I mean, if you put James Wood there, that would solve that problem.
Because it feels like we have a plethora of outfielders that are incredibly good, except for James Wood. It's like watching Manny Ramirez back in the peak Manny Ramirez days. You're like, can you track a fly ball? I don't quite get it. And I say it because man, I think when you look at Wood's stats, and he had a terrible last 60 days.
Yeah.
I mean, and his complete season was still pretty great.
No, in the first half last year, he was better than Juan Soto. I mean, the first half last year, he looked like almost an MVP level type player. I mean,
the concern I have is that we don't have any protection for him, and he's just constantly walked. Hey, I had a viewer question asking whether there should be a limit on. He wanted to change the intentional walk rule to 2 bases, and I thought, in all fairness, because I do think people want to see Ohtani hit, I do think that if it gets crazy, that we might see a limit of you can only intentionally walk a player once a game.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I saw, obviously, I think Manfred had the idea of having golden at bats and really crazy stuff where they could get Ohtani in, outside of his batting order.
That I wouldn't do.
I think most baseball fans would revolt, right? But no, what you said, that's a good idea. Maybe only one. Just one.
And you're allowed to do it a second time, but it's 2 bases the second time. Like, you don't take it away, but it's sort of like, nope, if you want them. And by the way, with Ohtani at this point, if you walk him, and he's going to steal second anyway. So you could make that argument, but we're going to have the same thing with Wood. Like, it's not fair to Nats fans if he's walked all the time. We don't even get to see him hit, right? And it's like the only thing we've got is that. So you wonder if I actually thought that was a really elegant idea, which is just once an at-bat, once a game, which means and then you have to decide, is this the time I want to do it?
Yeah,
right. And I want to avoid. So you actually add a little strategery to it.
That's a cool idea. I hadn't heard that one, but that's a really good one. But yeah, no. Well, anyway, Chuck, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast.
I still got my season tickets, so I'll be there.
All right, maybe we'll have you back next year or something. Appreciate it, and all right, okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, go Nats.
All right, so that was our episode. Some harsh words about the Dodgers, but some good words. I'm looking forward to making a promo clip for that, and some really good takes from Chuck. And we definitely appreciate him taking the time to be on the show and lending his platform. Appreciate it a lot. So next week, I think we're probably going to go back to Nat Source, finish up talking about spring training and what to look for in West Palm. And then after that, we have a surprise guest, a former player, I think, that is going to excite some of you guys. But I will wait another week or so to tease that. Until then, as always, please subscribe to us at Talk Nats Podcast on YouTube and X, and just search Talk Nats Podcast on your audio platform of choice, and you'll find our show. Thanks a lot. I've noticed more people listening each and every week. I really appreciate that. And until the next time, go Nats.